This is a classic example of a movie with a great concept that fucking sucked. Alright guys, welcome back. GM Light here, and I just got back from seeing Imaginary. If you don't know what it's about when Jessica moves back into her childhood home with her family, her youngest stepdaughter Alice finds a stuffed bear named Chauncey. As Alice's behavior becomes more and more concerning, Jessica intervenes only to realize that Chauncey is much more than the stuffed bear that she believed him to be. This is another Jeff Waddlow Blumhouse movie, and if you've seen the other ones, you kind of know how that's gonna go. This is also PG-13, which kind of just adds to that basic trail element. You kind of know exactly what you're getting out of this movie, and unfortunately it's probably exactly what you think it's going to be. The thing that sucks about it too is that it actually has a really cool premise. The idea of an imaginary friend that's actually some kind of demonic presence that lures children or tricks them into their fantasy world. The idea of having these different phases of initiation to get the child to actually peer into that world. That stuff could have been so cool, but this movie does exactly all the wrong things a PG-13 Blumhouse movie does. Uninteresting characters, really fucking annoying stepdaughter who goes all, "You're not my mom, I hate you." Like, bro, come on. You have unnecessary plot lines. You have the dad randomly just deciding to go away for the whole movie. These aren't even spoilers because this all happens either in the beginning of the movie or it's in the trailer. It's just the most generic thing ever. To be honest, I don't think there's anything that could really be spoiled about this movie. I just never thought that I would actually walk out of this movie this kind of annoyed. I guess I'll get some positives off my chest because I have a few. What this movie does do well is that it has interesting mechanisms to kind of deliver the scares, even though they're pretty infrequent. Stuff like the string to the bear, stuff like the lamp. They have interesting devices to set up the scares, kind of bring your eyes in one place while kind of delivering something entirely different in another way. They almost approach using the scares like a magic trick, which I think is kind of cool. But other than that, just so much about it is either really generic or really silly, and it just disappoints in so many different ways. And I hate to bag on another one of this guy's movies because he gets enough shit. I could have fun with a couple of his movies. I like Kick-Ass 2 a lot, actually. I hate Cry Wolf. I think that's a terrible movie. But I'm just really shocked that they keep giving this guy chances. I think his movies make money, but still, he clearly makes movies that people hate. People do not like this director's movies. And it seems like he never really learns his lesson. He almost approaches every movie the exact same way. I'd also say, besides the concept of the story, he approaches it almost exactly the same way that he approached Truth or Dare. Scene that establishes what's going on, same kind of characters, same kind of dynamics and everything, and then it results in some old lady that spews all of the dialogue and information, all the exposition to find out what's really going on. It's so been there, done that, we've seen it all before, and it really is fucking odd because I think the basic ideas are so good, they're so interesting, but the delivery is totally off. I also like the main character. I think she does a pretty good job as the stepmom. You really do believe her and her care for these stepdaughters, but everything around it is so uninteresting that you really don't get engaged. I wish that the movie honed in on this premise, this imaginary friend, setting it up better, setting it up scarier, making it actually scary, and also maybe make most of the movie actually about that initiation that the little girl has to do to kind of enter that imaginary world. If the movie was more focused on that, that would have been better and delivered a more holistic experience. But that almost feels like an afterthought or something put in the back burner while all this other weird human drama is going on. They'll sprinkle in a little bit of generic scares here and there to kind of keep you interested, but it really does not deliver what you're actually there for. I didn't expect much from it. I was kind of just hoping to have a nice night out at the movies, maybe a turn your brain off dumb Blumhouse movie. I could have a lot of fun with those. I like Blumhouse a lot. This movie has so many of its worst tendencies though as a studio, the stuff that a green lights allows to happen, and it's a situation where I feel like they really need to talk to Jeff Waddlow and say, look man, you need to step up your game. He delivers the same amount of effort every time, the same kind of vibe every time, very undercooked characters with very, very silly scares, if you even want to call them that. This movie is not scary at all, and even when you get down to the ultimate reveal of what this thing is, it does not work at all. It's not scary. I'll give them props on the fact that they kind of still went more practical. I will always appreciate that, but it's so fucking stupid that you can't help but laugh almost. I feel like I have to get this all kind of off my chest now because this movie is really so forgettable that I feel like if I were to wait a day even, I would miss out on so much that I thought about watching this movie. This movie has nothing happen remotely for the first hour almost, and then it jumps off a cliff and gets so fucking weird and wild that it loses me. I feel like I've had that experience with a lot of movies lately where it has a hard time engaging me with just a very overbearing ending. A lot of movies have left me feeling this way, just a complete bombardment at the end that makes me feel numb. A lot of superhero movies do it nowadays where they just have a lot of CGI action and bullshit that just loses me. And then in horror movies, this is the equivalent of that. Although they're pretty light, I will say, on the CGI stuff, which I do appreciate, just the overstimulation, the weirdness, it completely loses me, and it feels like it just bombards me into boredom. Stuff like that's a huge turnoff for me in a movie like this, and I wish it just stuck to a cohesive concept instead of getting dumb and loud for the sake of having that type of ending. And on top of that, they do something towards the end of the movie that I absolutely hate, especially in a horror movie. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it, and it's that decision that I think represents so much of this movie, just choosing the dumb, cheap idea, going with the stupid alternative instead of going with the interesting concept or the interesting idea when it could have done something really interesting and cool. That really is what this movie boils down to, just an absolute missed opportunity and choosing generic over cool, choosing safe over ballsy, being stupid and loud instead of scary and interesting. Those are just my thoughts though on Imaginary. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Have you seen this movie? Let me know your thoughts. I'm GM White. Have a good one.